Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to tonight's sessions by Pusher. We have a special live coding interactive challenge with Kodiri tonight, and I'll pass you over to Ricardo shortly, who will take you through the rules for the event. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. This is Sessions by Pusher is a YouTube channel where we host lots of different meetups from across the UK, and we record the meetups both virtually at the moment, and in the past, prior to lockdown, we'd attend the meetups and actually record the talks so that they could be available to watch afterwards here. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe and explore it for the different types of event and meetup that you can see content on. It covers everything from React Native to JavaScript. And if you're not familiar with Pusher, I'd highly recommend checking them out as well on their website, pusher.com. They specialize in real-time APIs and have a number of dev kits that developers can use to integrate into their work, websites, apps, anything. And you can do some really, really cool things with that. We even have a talk on the Pusher channel that was held by the London Node user group about how to build a soccer game just using Pusher tools, all done in real time. So I'll pass you over to Ricardo now, who will take you through the rules for tonight. Just bear with us for 1 second.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex. Yes, welcome, guys. I hope you're keeping safe and well. So today I would like to do some coding using the Kodiri platform. If it's the first time you came across Kodiri, so we are a non-profit project where we are essentially helping people with their coding skills, so everyone can join it for free. You don't even have to sign up. So if you visit kodiri.com, the way it works is you select your favorite programming language if you got any, and then you can even select difficulty level. So from beginner to expert, you can actually test and improve your tech skills. So let me actually give you an example. So imagine that I want to play with JavaScript because it's very trendy, blah blah blah. So let's do something quite basic. So I will select lower beginner, and then I pick a topic, and then we can play with some questions related to that particular topic. So in this case, for instance, get a welcome message. We present you a challenge or a problem where you have to do some coding. In this particular case, because this is for people without any coding experience, you don't even need to do any coding at all. You just need to choose the right answer. So, for instance, in this particular case, we are expected to create a function called getWelcomeMessage. So whenever we call that function, we should return welcome to JavaScript, right? So we got two options. If I choose the wrong one, JavaScript, without the exclamation mark, you see the assertion, the test on the left-hand side becomes red. That means something is not right. However, if I pick the right choice, I got confetti, meaning brilliant. Yeah, that solution is right. So I can submit it and I can move to the next one. For each module, you are going to get 5 questions. And then the thing is, at the end of the exercise, we give you a score. So the score is a way to tell you how good or how bad your performance was across that particular exercise. In this case, I got a very good score, but if I select a different topic, you see, that means that probably you need to practice a bit more. Again, we are offering many different challenges, completely free. So even things like HTML, CSS, where you get something a bit more business friendly. So we present you a graphic user interface for different devices, mobile, tablets, laptop, smart TVs, whatever. And then the idea is pretty much the same thing, right? We need to find the right answer. We need to fill the gaps. Of course, if we play with more advanced challenges, we will have to code everything by ourselves, right? But that's what we are trying to offer, something that can satisfy the appetite of all the developers, regardless of what their background is. FYI, at Kodiri, we try to support local communities with a special focus on underrepresented and underprivileged groups. So if you are aware of any community with interest in tech, just send me a message on Meetup, and we'll stay in touch. So what are we doing today? Over the next hour, I'm going to play some technical questions. So the activity will work as follows. So if you go to kodiri.com, you'll land on the homepage where you can practice by yourself. However, today I would like to run a social activity. So on the left-hand side on the menu, you'll find out something called challenges. When you click on it, you'll find out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 challenges. You see some people from different countries are already playing with these challenges. So we got essentially 2 tracks. So we got the JavaScript track, and then we got the React track. For each track, you got 3 different challenges. Lower beginner, super simplistic. We present you a problem, A, B, C, D. You select the right option. Yeah. Upper beginner, a bit more complicated. You need to do some coding. Yeah. And then upper intermediate means, we are talking about more difficult challenges where we need a better understanding about data structures, algorithms, and all these sort of things. So today, I would like just to play around with some of the questions. I will start with probably JavaScript upper beginner to do a bit of coding. And then I will jump to upper intermediate. And then if we have some time, maybe we'll play a bit with React. Why not? Thankfully, today we got some coders on the other side of the line. So we got people from the Kodiri wall. So we got Elena and we got Vicky. So thank you very much for joining us today. And I would like to thank Kim as well. So I used to work with Kim years ago, and I had the opportunity to work with her, and it was a fantastic experience. So today, after many years, we can see each other, right? Somehow. So I'm gonna just play with some of the questions, and of course, as you know, feel free to interrupt me at any time. Feel free to suggest changes, improvements, different techniques, right? And let's make sure we have some fun, because that's obviously the most important thing at the end of the day. All right, so let me go to JavaScript, upper beginner. In between, guys, you are obviously more than welcome to play with the challenge. The only thing you need to do before joining is just select a team, right? It depends on what do you prefer, sharks or octopus. And at the end of the exercise, so Kim likes octopus, so let's join the octopus team. First things first, and then at the end of the challenge, we will compare. So which kind of people is able to write better code, either shark lovers or octopus lovers? Kim, by the way, since it's been a while since we catch up last time, have you watched Sharktopus?
No.
Have I watched? No.
No.
I'm afraid
No,
I never
we won't.
All right, this is completely off topic and unnecessary, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to recommend you one of the best films in history, Sharktopus, right?
That's very Ricardo.
Yes, half shark,
That's very
half
Ricardo. Yeah.
octopus, yeah, unsurprisingly. Anyway, let's talk about coding, right? So, octopus lovers, start the challenge, and let's see what we got today. So, question number 1. Get the first element of an array. So, we have a function called get the first element. It receives a list of fruits, easy peasy, and then we just need to return the first fruit of the list, right? That's pretty simple, actually. So what we can do is just return fruits of 0, and I hope that should work, right? So fruits is an array. if using a square bracket notation, we can access its particular index, and because JavaScript, generally speaking, starts counting at 0, the first element will be the one at index 0. All right, so then we run it and it works. Is there any other way we can solve the problem? Can you suggest any other approach, any other technique?
Is pop the first one in the array?
Pop the first one. Interesting. Is it pop? All right. So pop extracts the first element of the array, right? So, but no, it's not actually it's not the last. Sorry, it's not the first. It's the last, right? So pop doesn't work. So does anyone remember how can we extract the first element of the array?
Shift.
And
Unshift.
Shift.
Unshift.
Shift or unshift? That's
Unshift.
interesting.
I think it's shift.
Wait a minute. Unshift will prepend a new element. So if I want to add a fourth fruit, like artichoke, is artichoke a fruit? Probably not, right? Ignore my ability, guys, of listing fruits. Anyway, whatever. If I use unshift, it will prepend artichoke on top of the list. As someone said, we should use probably shift. Using shift, then it works. Any other crazy way of solving the problem? I'll give you a hint. Can we use the structuring?
Yeah.
Look, fruits. Fruits is an array, right? So can I destructure the argument? Can I access the individual elements of the array? Yeah, of course, right?
Yeah.
So can I take that could be the first fruit, right? So if I destructure it like that, hopefully, will that work? Yes, you see?
I prefer the other ways.
Fair enough.
Make them more readable.
Correct. I'm not defending the validity of this solution. Yeah, I agree with Kim. I don't necessarily find out that this is the most readable approach, but I think personally, I believe it's interesting to play with different coding styles, right? Cool. Anything else regarding that question? No. All right. So let's quickly move to the second one. Is it a Boolean? I don't think we are gonna do many variations, many approaches, right? So this is pretty straightforward. So is Boolean receives an argument. We don't know if the argument is a Boolean or not, right? Can I call the argument Boolean? What do you think, semantics wise?
No.
Looks
not really.
You don't know if it's gonna be.
Yeah, because
that's correct. That's a bit smelly, right? That's a bit awkward because we don't know if the argument is going to be a Boolean or not. That's why we're creating a function, right? So calling the argument Boolean, it's controversial, yeah, under my point of view. Value, all right, fair enough.
We don't know what it is anyway.
We don't know value or X. Yeah, fair enough. So bringing semantics is great because it helps readability purposes. However, I think we shouldn't push too much because otherwise we can confuse our colleagues, right? So fair enough. Let's call it value. And then how can we check if a given value is a Boolean or not?
With a type of?
Type of, correct. Type of value.
Equals.
Equals like that?
Triple
4,
equals.
5, 3.
Triple equals.
Triple equals.
Boolean.
Right. Triple equals equal Boolean. Interesting. Why triple equals? Could we use double equals instead?
So because of the RMP rules with the triple equals we need to follow, and it's more performant as well. Fair
enough. That's interesting, Vicky. Yes. So technically speaking, it may work using double equals. Look at that. look, is Boolean is not defined. There is a trap in this question, right? Look at the function name. Is Boolean. And look at the method name on the right hand side. Is Boolean with one O, right? So that was a trap. That was sneaky. That's a very easy way to ruin your score in this challenge, right? So coding is about paying attention to details. How many times in your life, how many times you had a typo and you weren't able to find it, and you spent 4 hours, you ruined the productivity of your day, and then it was a comma or double O, double L, these things happen, right? But that's what coding is about. All right, so with the double O, then it was fine. We got the warning, semicolons, still consider a good practice in modern JavaScript. And back to the double equals versus triple equals. Remember that even though in some occasions like this one, it doesn't really matter. The problem will be solved regardless of whether you use double or triple. In reality, we should use triple equals all the time. As Douglas Crackford said, one of the fathers of JavaScript. Yeah. So double equals is the evil twin of triple equals. And the reason is double equals is slower, but on top of the performance, it's less strict than triple equals, because double equals checks the equality of the expressions, while triple equals checks the identity of the expressions. It's one of the things that we tend to forget easily, but they play really well, especially if you are in the middle of a job interview. Yeah. So from an academical point of view, we should definitely use triple equals as well. All right. Anything else? Any thoughts about this problem?
No, all good.
No? Kim, you want to add anything?
It's not something I've ever had to do before.
Okay. Nice. I like that the practical approach of the problem. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. So what we got on question number 3. By the way, a note on what Kim said, right? So probably you won't need to check whether your data has a Boolean or not often. But the thing is, according to my experience, so you sometimes integrate with external APIs, external services. And the thing is, if you got full control on your data lifecycle, of course, you can ensure that argument that you receive as part of that JSON object, whatever, is going to be it's going to be a Boolean or not. The problem is, if you integrate with an external service, an external API, and that API sometimes is a bit funny because sometimes they give you Booleans, sometimes they give you strings. These things that shouldn't happen, but in real life, they unfortunately sometimes happen, right? So I think it's good to have this resilience towards a problem handling or data type handling. Yeah. All right, let's do one more question on beginner, and then let's do something a bit more spicy. So get the indexes of an array. So we got a function called getArrayIndexes. So the function is correctly spelled in this occasion. That function receives an array of 1, 2, 3, 4 arguments, or none at all, we don't know. And we want to return another array with the indexes of the input. Yeah. So if the array has 2 elements, then we should return another array of 2 strings, 0 and 1, because again, arrays are index-based. The first index of the arrays is 0, the second one is 1, and so on, right? There are many different ways we can solve this problem. Actually, we can maybe play around with some different techniques. Before running any magic, I would like to stick to the instructions. And according to the instructions, we are expected to use for in. So for in will iterate over the given data. In this occasion, we got an array, and it will essentially save somehow the index of each element of that particular array. So can you tell me what sort of data structures, apart from arrays, can we use with for in? Are you aware of any of these data structures?
String.
String, correct. So we can use for in with the strings to iterate over the indexes associated to the individual characters of the string. What else?
Can we look through the objects?
Nice, indeed, Vicky. You're absolutely right. So we can use for in to iterate over objects. And what is for in gonna do? What is it gonna say? What is it gonna, handle? The object, the keys of the object. The keys of the object. Yeah? Well, so let's just play with that. So I'm gonna do something. So if the method name, if the function name is get array indexes, I'm gonna create a variable called indexes. I'm gonna prepare the problem bit. Eventually, I'm gonna return it. You see, I'm not following a chronological or maybe a sequential order. I'm just trying to prepare the skeleton, the structure of my problem. And then, of course, I'm gonna play a bit with for in. So with for in, we can create a variable. Let me call it, let me do something wrong and then we'll see how to improve it, right? Let Brexit in, actually, foo, and then I'm gonna add each variable called Brexit to the indexes array, indexes.push. So first of all, is this gonna work or not?
No.
Why not, Elena?
Because, well, the words we have used are not correct, but it could work. The problem is that it's not a string. So Brexit at this moment is a number and it should be a string.
That's interesting. All right, so you are suggesting that we should transform Brexit into a string. All right, fair enough. Let's do it. How can we do that?
We can put a string with capital S.
Surrounding something like that?
Surrounding Brexit, yeah.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's do that. Not against that. I'm not sure, to be honest, if for in, if that's going to be a string or a number. That's something that we can probably figure out later on. But yeah, if you are not convinced, I think, yeah, it's a healthy exercise to ensure that you play with strings. Kim, are you aware whether if for in plays with strings, or in this occasion it's gonna just save the indexes as numbers? Do you know that?
As numbers.
As numbers.
I would guess numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers. Okay, then fair enough.
The is the one that it will be the opposite.
Fantastic. Fair enough. If anyone watching at YouTube knows the answer, feel free to share it with us, right? All right, fair enough. Assuming that Brexit is a number, let's transform it into a string because that's what the exercise is looking for. All right, let's run it and see if it works. Right, it works. But now I got a question for you. Will you get the job if you present that code to the employer?
No.
Why not?
Depends what they're looking for.
It depends on what they are looking for. Fair enough. Yeah. Assuming you are applying to a normal company with, some standards.
Semantics, first of all.
Semantics. All right, Vicky. So from a semantics point of view.
Because I can't read it very well.
Okay, so Vicky, what will you change?
So the foo, first of all, on top, we can say we could put philosophers because we have philosophers.
Philosophers. Probably this is misspelled, right? Philosophers.
Well,
let me.
Fine.
Right? Really? No, it's wrong.
It's wrong with
almost.
Yeah.
Right?
And yeah, we change all the in there, yeah, and then the Brexit, the value Brexit.
All right.
And say either index.
I will only accept one answer here. I
index.
won't accept any hesitations because the algorithm is driving you towards a unique answer.
Index.
Correct. Correct. Index. Why?
Mhm.
Look at the function name. Get array indexes. What's my variable name? Indexes, indexes, indexes. Guys, avoid the temptation of calling that value or number or things like that, because this is going to make everything just more complicated, right? So the index, let's keep the semantics simpler, the better. Right, and then it works. It works. Do you have any comments, any thoughts?
No.
Kim?
I think we can make it a bit shorter.
All right, you go for,
Use the map
go for it.
function.
Use map function. Fantastic, fantastic. Return philosophers
Dot
map. Yeah.
And that will give you a philosopher and an index.
Yeah. A philosopher and then the index.
And then we
and
can
then you
return
return
the index as a string.
Index as a string.
Mhm.
So now I got a question for you all. Is this gonna work?
Shouldn't be both of them in the philosopher index in an extra parenthesis before the outcome? Yeah.
That's correct, Vicky. That's correct. Remember that if you have a single argument in your function, it's okay to ignore the parentheses. I'm talking about the arrow function coding style. But if you got more than one argument, then you can't. Yeah. So you need to surround your sexy arguments with parentheses. And then if we do that, then it works, even though we are ignoring the instructions, but technically speaking, it works fine. Awesome. Brilliant. Thank you, Kim. Anything else?
No.
I'll take that as a no. So I'm gonna leave the upper beginner, and before I spoil the results, sorry about that. Oh, look, there's quite a lot of people playing. That's pretty nice. So let's jump to the upper intermediate. I'm sure we're gonna find some interesting challenges in here. What time is it? All right, so we got about 40 minutes. So what you can see at the moment, this is the partial state of the challenge. So this represents the player's performance pentagon of all the participants that managed to complete the upper intermediate level. And that looks quite good, right? We'll go through these details later on. For now, let's just play with the questions we got here. All right, so question number one. That's interesting because I believe this is one of the most challenging questions on the entire intermediate program. So that question was created by one of our collaborators in Russia, and it is a bit spicy. So let's try to understand the problem first. So we got a function called get competition winner. You see in this occasion, we don't even have the signature of the method. We got nothing, so we need to build everything by ourselves. And the thing is, we want to identify, we want to find out who has won that particular fruit picking challenge. And there are some variables we have to consider. So first of all, we need to check how many fruits each participant has picked. So for instance, this lady has picked 30 fruits. And then we need to remove the ones that she's or he's smashed, right? So the effective value here should be 27, 30 minus 3. However, there is another very interesting variable here, which is the time. Yeah. So essentially, we want to check the efficiency of that person picking fruits, because that person picked 27 fruits in 1 hour. So the performance is 27 fruits per hour. Next person managed to effectively pick 24 fruits in 1 hour, right? So still not winning because Susie got 27, so 27 is greater than 24, obviously. And then let's pay attention to to Poppy, right? That's a bit strange, right? So someone smashed more fruits than anyway. Let's ignore the semantics, right? So the thing is,
more than
that person probably smashed others' fruit, right? So a bit illegal, but anyway. I hope you get the point, right? We need to consider, we need to check, how long that person took to pick that amount of fruits. All right, so let's first of all prepare the algorithm. So get competition winner. I'm going to pass an argument called, I don't know, players or participants. It doesn't really matter, right? As far as I don't call them elephants or things like that, should be readable enough. So now my plan is, first of all, I'm going to calculate the score associated to each player. Calculating the score will be picked minus smashed divided by hour, if you want, right? So 30 minus 3, 27, divided by 1. So that person is picking 27 fruits per hour. However, for instance, look at Katie here. So Katie is picking 32 fruits in 2 hours. So her performance is 16 fruits per hour, right? So I'm gonna try to get that number up front, and once I get the number, I will short the list. I will short the arrays, and eventually, whoever is on top of the list will be the winner, right? Again, I'm not saying this is going to be the most performant solution, not even the most readable, but that's going to be my first approach, and then with your help, we may fine tune it a bit, right? So, all return players. Look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to use map. We'll talk about performance later on, because the first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna add a new attribute to each player called score, and we'll obviously change that, right? We'll assign a score to each player based on this basic math calculation: pick minus smash divided by time. Yeah. Eventually, I'm gonna return the player. Yeah. Again, this is the work in progress. I'm just presenting my strategy. Let me move things around. So once I manage to get the score, I'm going to sort the players. So player A, player B. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the most successful, the most efficient player on top of the list. So what I'm going to do is player. So guys, do you know, should I do players A dot score? Assuming the score. So Vicky, you said it's player B?
Player is first, player B dot score because she's going descending.
That's absolutely right. Remember that sort checks whether for each pair of variables you return a positive number or a negative number. In this occasion, why we put player B minus player A? Because if player B has a greater score than player A, we want to bring it to the top. Yeah. So if it returns a positive number, that means B has a higher score than A, and we want to put it on top. Yeah. I find that a bit personally hard to explain. However, I have a secret rule. If you struggle with that, that secret rule you'll remember that forever, right? So you put A minus B, you are gonna sort the array ascendingly. Yeah? A first ascendingly. However, on the other way around, if you put B minus A, it's just the opposite, obviously. Right? So once we manage to sort the array in a descending order, can anyone help me to complete this exercise? So how can we effectively display the name of the player?
With .map?
.map. Why you want to use .map again, Elena?
To just get the name. No, we just want to get the top one. Sorry, I'm sorry. We just want to get the top one. So
you just want to get the top one. That's correct. So you don't need to iterate again, thankfully.
Yeah.
So it's going to be much easier than that.
Can we
Just hard code it to the first one?
do like squares square 0.9?
That's correct. As Kim suggested, we can just hard code because we want the top one. Yeah. Again, we'll talk about performance and everything in a minute. So now, look. So what I've done is I prepared the skeleton of the exercise. So now it's all about being able to calculating the score of each particular player. Because I hope you agree with me that function is complex enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new method called get player score, something like that, right? So now you see I'm delegating. I'm running divide and conquer strategy, essentially, right? So I'm moving the complexity of calculating the score of a player into a new function. So now let's try to find out the variable. So first of all, let's see how many fruits that player got. Player.picked. Then let's also get how many fruits that player smashed. The same thing, right? Player.smashed. And finally, let's try to get the time, right? If we do player.time, this is going to return a string, like, for instance, 2 hours, right? And that's not ideal because even if we complete the algorithm, right? If we run picked plus smashed divided by time, that's not gonna work because the last part of the expression is a string. So we definitely need to take an action here. So do you have any suggestion about how to transform 2 hours into something meaningful from a math point of view, like 2?
Parse float?
Parse float, interesting. Can we use parse int?
That'll work for the 2 and 1 hour, but not the 0.5.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You see, Kim is absolutely right.
You wouldn't.
It may work in some scenarios, but not in others, right? So we definitely need to use parse float, to solve the problem. We may see different techniques here as well if you want later on, but this is one of them. Yeah. So parse float, remember, is a bit special. So parse float, it will check the string, right? So if I got, for instance, three-head shark attack, which is another really good movie I would like to recommend you. So parse float will, from the beginning of the expression, it will try to extract floating numbers. Is 3 a floating number? Yes, save it. Is the space a floating number? No, then give up, right? So if you do something like that, three-head, 4 shark attack, something like that, this is only going to save number 3. As soon as parse float finds out something that is not a number, then it will stop, right? I mean, yeah, that's a bit controversial, but in regards to this particular problem, it's going to work fine because we know that the number is on top of the expression. All right, so before arguing whether, that's crap, why you've done that, you don't deserve a job, whatever. So first of all, is that going to work or not?
Get the score.
Do we want to add the picked and smashed or subtract them?
I think it will work.
All right, Kim, can you repeat the question, please?
Do you want to add the picked and smashed together or subtract them? Do they get punished for smashing apples?
Oh, yeah.
Indeed. Look at the last line of my algorithm, right? You see the problem, right? So you get a bonus if you smash, and that means that probably Poppy is gonna actually.
Yeah, that other one.
Let's do something. Let's do something. I'm gonna run it. That's not gonna work. If it works, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna go back to Spain and have some deserved holidays. Right? That's not gonna work. But anyway, let's see if I get that on the first use case scenario, our algorithm tells that Poppy is the winner. That means we'll be moving on the right direction. Let's test it. Aha. You see? Interesting. I mean, it may work in some cases. If, for instance, if no one smashes anything, this is not going to be affected, right? So in some cases that could be okay, but definitely that's a good example why Kim spot the problem, right? So we should definitely subtract the smash fruits, right? We got a warning here. Unexpected new line between object and square brackets. So the algorithm, according to our linting standards, we should another break line after the parentheses and before the square bracket. No problem at all. Let's run it again, and then we finally get confetti time. All right. So then imagine that you are in a job interview and the employer presents you this algorithm, and it works. But they want to know your thoughts. So is there anything that you will change? Is there any concern, any bit? Let's just have a chat about it.
I will definitely change the second function using the structuring, because there's a lot of let.
All right, here, right?
Yeah, if we remove all these lets.
Interesting. So can we destructure the argument rather than instead of player? I agree with you, Vicky. So can we do picked, smash, and then we're going to have a problem with time, right? Because we need to play with it a bit.
But we can put in the return statement.
I agree with you, Vicky. We can put it. I don't think that the expression is complex enough to think about something differently, right? Yeah, you see, I agree with you, Vicky. You see, now the algorithm is simpler, right? Let's say if it works, of course it works. What else?
I'm not sure about modifying the players array.
Wait. So Kim said something absolutely interesting, right? Let me go back to that point in a minute, Kim, because before talking about that, let me just scratch the surface of the problem, and then we'll go to your point, because I think that's absolutely brilliant. So before talking about the reasoning why we are modifying the input, can we simplify the algorithm a bit more? So what about the sort part? Do we really need to use curly brackets and then return?
No, we could just
correct. We can actually get rid of the return statement and maybe use parentheses. Yeah, maybe we could even get rid of the parentheses and then put everything in one line. Not sure about that. I mean, yeah, you just need to play. Obviously, my resolution is quite small. Yeah, just for streaming purposes. So we could actually play a bit with different techniques, different approaches. But yeah, we can definitely do something like that. And then it doesn't work unexpected. You see, remember, if you get rid of the return statement, you cannot have any semicolons, because having semicolons implies that you can have multiple statements. And when you use parentheses or nothing at all, that means whatever you put next is going to be returned immediately, right? Remember these little details that can ruin everything. All right, so now I got so back to what Kim said before. So Kim said something absolutely brilliant. So she said that we have a list of players as the input. However, that line, number 4, probably is highly controversial, because we are effectively modifying the array. As I've mentioned often in the past, this is like you go on holidays. So Kim is going on holidays now somewhere, and a friend of she's coming to London, and Kim said, "All right, here you can stay in my place. There is no one living," and Kim gives the keys to her friend. And then suddenly when Kim comes back from holiday, suddenly she realizes that her friend has painted the walls, has changed the furniture. Like what the hell that means, right? So if you go on holidays,
not a very good friend.
It's not a very good friend, right? You are a good friend of her, so you give your keys. That's fine, but you don't want her to touch anything, right? As far as the house was, just leave it as it was, right? That's the same problem. So someone is giving us the responsibility of dealing with an array of players. However, suddenly we are altering the shape of that variable. Yeah. So technically speaking, this is what we call an impure function. That's an impure function because we are creating a function with side effects. The side effect here is we are modifying the structure of our data. And that's not good. So now the next question is, how can we change the problem? So how can we transform this impure function into a pure function? Kim, do you have any advice?
Don't modify it. If you return a new object from the map instead of changing the one that's there,
you return a new object. All right, so you wanna return, but even if you return a new object, I mean, just because of line number 4.
yeah, and remove that line.
All right, fair enough. So you want to remove the line.
Yep.
And then you want to return what? So score, whatever the score was.
Yep, and the name we need.
And the name, correct? We still need the name. You're right, Kim, because we need to display it or returning eventually, right? So and then the name, which is player.name, something like that, right?
Yep.
I completely agree with Kim. So that's a way to keep our function pure to avoid any side effects. And if we run it, then it works fine. There are obviously many different ways of preventing from introducing side effects. This is probably the best one under my point of view. However, we can, for instance, something we can do is we can copy the players array. So we could do something like that, for instance. So using the spread operator, we can copy the values and then we can wrap them all again using an array. You need to be careful because that technique will work fine only if you have an array of primitives. If we have an array of objects or an array of arrays, that may not work fine eventually. So that technique is nice under my point of view, but you need to be careful. Yeah, it's not safe in all the use cases scenarios. But if we introduce it here, still works and the function remains pure. Anything else?
Ricardo?
Yep.
Could we have done like players.sort and then for each player put get players score and the player in between parentheses?
That's fantastic. So look at what Elena is suggesting. Elena is suggesting a different way of dealing with the problem. So she's telling, why do we need to map over the array of elements and then iterate again to sort them? Can we actually combine both steps? That's a really good idea. So what we could do is so we could change the structure of the exercise a bit. So we could just call sort, and then we get the score for each player like that. So technically speaking, obviously without the score, right? That's my fault, obviously. Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. We need to be aware of performance, and I'm not saying this is less performance than we've done before, but it's a different type of approach. So before, what we've done is we iterate once and then we iterate twice. So the execution cost is 2n. Here is different because we loop once, so the cost is n or 1n. However, the cost of each iteration potentially may be heavier, because look at how many times we are calculating the score. So for each player, we may have to calculate the score multiple times, because don't forget that when we sort elements in JavaScript, we are comparing by pairs, right? So one number will be compared against many others potentially, and that means that if the get player score is complex because it's, I don't know, calling the backend using a REST API, whatever, that may not be the most efficient thing. Again, I'm not a hooligan of performance when dealing with simplistic use cases scenario, because I strongly believe that we should go for humans, so readability should go first, right? But I think it's good to at least keep in mind that this is not necessarily less or more performant than the previous approach, but it's different. And because it's different, if we were dealing with millions of elements on the array, one approach may be more performant. If we were dealing with less elements, but comparing them would be more difficult, then so it depends as usual, right? Anything else?
No, that's fine then.
No. Kim, any final thoughts?
No, I mean,
no.
Yeah, if we kept it that way, we don't need to clone the array at the start. Specific to that solution.
That's interesting.
Oh wait, never mind. That was stupid.
That's interesting, right? So yeah. So if we don't clone the array, again, we are
the sort is in place.
Exactly, sort is in place, right? So sort alters the original array, right? That's why we still need to, avoid the temptation of sorting the original array. All right, so we got 14 minutes left. Do you want to do a bit of React, just to to change the scope a bit?
Yeah.
Let's do React. Yeah, fantastic. All right, so let's go to challenges. Then let's do a bit of React. So let's do maybe a couple of questions on beginner, and then last 5 minutes we'll do one question on the upper intermediate, if you don't mind. All right, so upper beginner, and then so as usual, let's try to understand the problem first, right? I mean, this is going to be a piece of cake. So we are expected to create a component in React called welcome. The component receives one prop called user. So, we just want to welcome our user, right? When you're building an app for mobile devices, you start getting traction on the market, millions of customers, trillions of revenue. So you want to say welcome, to your customers for making you rich. All right, so we got a basic structure, HTML structure, JSX structure. So the only thing we need to do is welcome to React, comma, and then we just want to interpolate the name of the user, which is going to be props.user, I believe. And then remember the exclamation mark. Is that going to work?
No.
Why not, Vicky?
Because we need to... sorry. Confused for 1 second. Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we destructure as well?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Remove props,
correct. Remove props, and then let's improve the semantics of our exercise by what should I put here, Vicky?
User.
User, that's correct. Yeah. And now
and then remove the props. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And then the code is a bit simpler, easier to read, and of course it still works. Any other improvement? Any other suggestion?
Remove the divs.
Look. So Vicky's playing hard. She said remove the divs. What that means, Vicky? Something like that?
No, we can put empty tags instead.
Empty tags. What's the name of an empty tag, Vicky?
Uh,
Elena?
Fragment, sorry.
Fragments, correct, yeah? So that's a fragment, which is a valid structure in the React world. Remember, fragments are invalid in HTML, yeah? So if tomorrow you are creating an app in vanilla JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, that's not gonna work, yeah? But yeah, in React, we can use fragments. And I'll tell you something. Is there a way of getting rid of the JSX at all?
Yes, we can use template literals.
Correct. We can use template literals, as Elena said. So the only thing we need to do is something like that. It's not going to work.
No, we need to put the $sign in front of the curly. Yeah, there.
Correct. Yeah. Remember, if we use template literals, we need the syntax is similar but slightly different, right? The way we can interpolate a variable is by using the $ and curly brace symbol. Do you remember, guys, where we are using a $ instead of the sterling or the euro symbol?
You said where?
Why? No, not where. Why? Why we have the American currency?
It's only because we're using the template literal, so you can just read it. We can use it without the $.
Come on, Vicky, you are very polite, right? You don't have to be that polite, right? No, we use the $ because software comes from North America, speaking, right? So that's a horrible excuse to remember you that Vue 3 is going to be released shortly, and Vue 3 is possibly going to change many things in the industry. Remember that Vue comes from China. It's the first attempt from a non-American, funding company to dominate JavaScript, since it was originally released in 1995. So yes, keep an eye to Vue 3. I'm not telling you this is going to replace React, probably not, but I'm sure it's going to get some traction over the next few months. All right. Anything else, Kim?
Don't think so.
Yeah, easy peasy, right? All right. So let's do one more question. Oh, that's pretty simple as well. So president, so talking about North America, so we have to display a list of, US presidents. So this component will be responsible of displaying a single president. So first and last name. Can anyone remember me, because I've been on holidays for a while, so I completely forgot everything, what that dot means in front of the selector?
Class name.
Class name, correct. So we need to create an element with a class or a class name, first name, and then same thing for the last name. So, all right. So let's create a div, for instance, with class name, first name, correct, first name, and then let's call it, we should access the prop, right? We're receiving, which is props, not first name. And then let me copy that. And then let me put another one called last name. And then let me do some tricky things here. And we'll talk about that in a minute, right? All right. So this is going to be, of course, last name. So first of all, is this... Well, that's not going to work, right? Because we need to display some prefix, first name, colon, whatever. All right, so let's do right. First name, colon, space. And likewise, last name, colon, space. So first of all, is this going to work?
Do we have a P tag on the...
Yes, we have a P tag. But my first question is this going to work or not? I'm not even talking about semantics.
I think it will work.
Yeah.
Why, Elena?
Yeah.
Because you're using the class names that they are telling you. You're getting the props and accessing the first name and the last name. So everything is correct, but there are some problems with...
Correct. So the confetti... Yes, so confetti tells you that you are right, Elena, and that's absolutely correct. So the exercise is not opinionated about your DOM structure. Yes, so you can use div, p, label, tables potentially, right? But now the obvious question is, what do you think about that? What do you think about mixing, tags in that particular way? Is that something you will do? Yes, no, or why?
Only when we have JSX according to our MBB standards, we use the double the double quotes. If it's single, if it's not JSX.
Okay, yeah, fair enough, Vicky. But I'm not even talking about the quotes. I'm talking about the tags. So, for instance, we display the first name.
No.
I think we should be consistent, and if we are using P for one, use P for the other one.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Elena. So I don't particularly care whether you use P or div, but remember to, if you are wrong, at least be consistently wrong, right? So use P tags all the time because first name and last name is the same type of data, semantically speaking. So, just do that, right? Any other improvement?
The indentation.
Yeah.
Indentation. That's interesting. I'm not sure what do you think about that? But look, I'm not a big fan of this kind of indentation because line number 2, we're opening a div tag, but then we're closing the div tag at a different indentation level, right? So personally, I would like to get your thoughts about your coding style. What I like to do is something like that. I open a parenthesis, and then my code becomes, I believe, more readable because I can clearly see where I open my root div and when I close it because it's completely aligned. What do you think about that, Kim?
I am okay with either. I think I prefer the first one, but your argument's very compelling, and I don't have a better argument. Other than I'm just more used to it, probably.
You're used to that, yeah. No, fair enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it makes sense what you've done, and it looks good, and it is easy to read.
Easy. Also, it's easier from for refactoring purposes because I believe I can easily cut the code and paste it. If my div opens there, I will need to select something different. So you see, if I paste it later on, of course, if I'm using a modern IDE, they may format the code for me. But you see, by definition, my code is not correctly indented. You see, however, if I go back to the original approach, where I separated everything into a new line, if because of whatever reason I need to move the code remains correctly indented, end to end. Anything else?
So read the structure.
The structure, correct. Rather than passing props, which tells me nothing about the signature of the precedent component, let's just use curly braces, and then first name and then last name. So then we can eventually get rid of cross dot. And then of course the code works. What else?
On the class names, the equation, as I said, I mean, if we are always wrong, we should keep being wrong, but we should keep the double as the standards of our MBB, or if it is JSX, we keep the double.
That's absolutely right. So I don't care what your coding style is. You may have really good arguments to defend A or B, and that's fine. However, if you defend, following a given technique, just stick to it. Because, for instance, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, we got a class name, and then we are using single quotes. Fine. But then the next line, we got literally the same structure, and then we've changed our mind, and suddenly now we're using double quotes. That's not good, right? So we should stick to either one or the other. And now my question is, do you have any particular preference?
No, it's just a double when it's JSX.
A double when it's JSX. Okay, interesting. Why, Vicky?
For performance.
For performance, I think that's a bit romantic. I don't think performance is going to make any difference.
I would say double, as that's what you use in HTML as well.
Brilliant. Indeed. So if you refer to popular style guides like the Airbnb one, they will tell you that they are using double. They suggest to use single quotes for JavaScript. Fine. But whenever you're dealing with JSX, they suggest you to use double. And the reason is that's literally what Kim said, that in HTML we use, historically speaking, double quotes, because the idea of JSX is to imitate as much as possible HTML then we should stick to double quotes as well. All right. Anything else?
Missing a semicolon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Semicolon. Interesting. Where's semicolon? Here?
No, before the last curly brace, on the parenthesis, the last parenthesis.
Before the curly brace, here?
No. After the last parenthesis.
Here, right?
Return. Yeah, and if you can remove the fragment, if we can replace the first divs with fragments.
Aha, so that's interesting. That's interesting. So is the exercise opinionated about the root element? Not at all, right? As far as I can see, it doesn't care, right? So we can, technically speaking, replace the div with a fragment, and then it works. So now my last question is, can you tell me why do you recommend to minimize the number of div elements in your web application?
Because it will be more performant.
That's correct. That's correct. Eventually, don't forget that complex web applications may have to deal with thousands of HTML tags. Yeah, and that doesn't come for free. Yeah, eventually web apps will struggle, even if you are using a very powerful laptop. Yeah, web apps will struggle.
I also think that when recently I was making a website, and I was trying to find which was that div that I couldn't find, which was basically couldn't take the style I wanted for the rest of the container. So if there's a div you don't really use it, don't put it, because then it's more difficult to manage the rest.
Fair enough. Yeah, agree on that. So from a discoverability point of view, fragments work really well. On the other way around, and we are calling it a day in 30 seconds. Can you give me a reason to keep a div or a p, or keep a proper structure? Why, in which occasions we may want to keep a proper HTML tag?
If you need to apply a style for the whole block.
I like that. Indeed. So if I got a class name called president, unsurprisingly, and I want to add some nice CSS, like, I don't know, border 300 pixels, solid orange, yeah. Hopefully that's not what you want to do, but you get the point, right? So if you want to add some styles, then having a div definitely helps to wrap your component. All right, so I think we're going to call it a day, because the challenge have finished 2 minutes ago. So I think we should check the results before moving to the results part. I really again appreciate your support. I hope you have enjoyed the experience. Kim, it's been a pleasure to work with you again, even it's been just for an hour. But hopefully it won't be 5 years until we can do some coding again, right? All right, so let's have a look to the results of the challenge. Team Shark versus Team Octopus. We'll see what we got in here today. So first of all, let me have a look to React, because of no particular reason, just because it's listed first. So if it's your first time playing a challenge, you may want some notes about what the hell are we evaluating here. So this is the PPP Players Performance Pentagon, and here we're evaluating different metrics. So first of all, how many questions you've completed out of 5? That's a tenacity. Accuracy means how many times you submit your question and you fail. So if the number is very low, if the score is low, it's just, we call it Street Fighter mode. You remember Street Fighter, when you just hit the buttons randomly to win the battle? So that's pretty much a Street Fighter mode. Speed, how long it took you to complete the test. Focus, how many times you went to Google or to Stack Overflow to get some help. And then elegance, how standard your code is according to our linting guidelines. So again, this is the overview of the battle. And now let's have a look to the team results. So in this occasion, we got 4 players. So let's see who gets the first victory of the day. So on the left-hand side, Shark Lovers, they got a median score of 55 points. So that's quite good. And now let's have a look to the Octopus team. and they got an average score, a median score to be more precise, of 84 points. So brilliant performance by the Team Octopus. So they got the first point of the day. What about the upper beginner? Obviously, the more complex the challenge is, the smaller the pentagons tend to be, right? So on the upper beginner level, let me go straight to the team results. So 3 versus 1. That's interesting because there is a single warrior on the Octopus team, but this is obviously one of the most popular players at Kodiri, yeah? Mr. Babik. So I'm sure he did really well here. All right, so first of all, on the left-hand side, median score of the Shark Lovers team. Not too bad, 84 points. But look at the elegance. They got a big penalty on the elegance, and that may be final. Let's see what Babik did on the left-hand side, but look at that, almost perfect, 98 points. So that's fantastic. So that means it's 2-0. So far, Octopus Lovers seems to be more able to write code than Shark Lovers. All right, I may argue that, but that's a different discussion. That's now we are dealing with the upper intermediate. Again, remember we are talking about React. Yeah, you see the shapes become a bit, funnier now because it is definitely more difficult to play with these questions. So what we got today, 2-0 so far for the Team Octopus. So let's have a look. What's the median score for the Shark team? 73 points, not too bad. And what about Octopus results? 59, brilliant. So Babik has been defeated by the first time today. So that's a great performance by the Team Shark. So it's 1-2 for Team Octopus. So that was about React, but now let's talk about JavaScript before we call it a day. So first of all, arguably the most simplistic challenge of the day, which is the lower beginner quiz game ABCD, right? So what we got today, so again, 2 versus 2. So Shark Lovers result, we got 55 points for them. And then, look at that. On the right-hand side, Shark Octopus, 58. So that battle was actually closer than I expected, right? But that's another point for Team Octopus, 3-1. So in best case, Team Shark Lovers team will be able to get a draw out of this battle, right? Now, the penultimate battle, this is upper beginner, the JavaScript side. A couple of players managed to solve all the questions. One player solving 4 out of 5. One player solving 2 out of 5. So you can see that the complexity of the challenge is definitely there, right? So let's check the team ranks. By the way, I didn't mention that, but you can now check all the details of the challenge. So if you go to the challenge view, you select the past tab, and you click on the challenge again, you'll get access to this sort of view, and you'll be able to check the individual results. I don't want to spoil them much. You'll be able to check the team results, which is what I'm going to do now, and you'll be able to compare the code side by side, which I believe is pretty interesting. First of all, if you didn't manage to solve a particular question, you can get some references about how to deal with it. And even if you understood the problem, even if you solve it, so you can see, for instance, in this case, that you can find a different, not necessarily a better, but at least a different way of solving the same problem, which I believe is very, very healthy. All right, so what we got here. So let's check the team results. Penultimate and 5th battle of the day, Shark Lovers versus Octopus Lovers. So 3-1 for Octopus team so far. 34 points for the Sack lovers. Not sure if that looks very promising for them, but anyway, let's figure out. Let's reveal the score of the Octopus lovers team, and look at that. That's just awesome, right? 67 points for Team Octopus, and then finally, the arguably the most complicated battle of the day. So that's React Upper Intermediate. Look, the results look quite good. I mean, many developers managed to solve all the questions, which is quite interesting. Sorry, that was JavaScript. I said React. Sorry, that's completely my fault. So JavaScript Upper Intermediate. Yeah. So what we got on JavaScript Upper Intermediate? Let's check the team results. Interesting. So 2 versus 2. We got on the left-hand side Elena, who has joined us today, right? Panos versus Babik and a guest player. So was the median score of the Sack lovers team? Oh, look, 87. That's great. That's gonna be really tough for Babik and the guest player, but hey, who knows? This is gonna be close for sure. So the average score of the median score of the Octopus lovers team is, oh, look at that, 82 points for them, right? So brilliant. So there is that's interesting, right? Because the Sark lovers team only got 2 points, but they won the 2 most difficult battles, which is React Upper Intermediate and JavaScript Upper Intermediate. So from a psychological point of view, you know, that's been very nice. All right, so from my side, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the session. Once again, thank you very much to Elena. Thank you very much to Kim. Thank you very much to Vicky for your help and for your contribution today. Thank you as well to Alex and all the members of Pusher for, you know, enabling the streaming of this session. It's been a pleasure to work with them again. And thank you all guys for being there today. I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope you learned something. And apart from that, looking forward to see you on the next one. Have a lovely evening, stay safe, and happy coding.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Thanks very much for that, Ricardo. That was great. Yes, thank you so much to Kodiri for actually putting this on tonight. It's really appreciated. We know that they work really hard behind the scenes and put a lot of time and effort into making this happen and making sure that the community gets to engage with each other and participate in challenges like this. So big thanks to them. If you're interested in showing your support or just finding out more, there's information in the description about how to find out more about Kodiri's learning resources. You can support them by downloading the app either on the Play Store or the Apple Store, and you can also find out about their future events on meetup.com too. So yeah, just a huge thank you to them, and it's great to be able to continue doing these kind of things with them. I think that's going to be it for us tonight, and I'll just sign off and just say, yeah, thank you again for joining us. We've got some more events coming up soon in the future. Let's have a little look at the calendar. I think we've got QA Babble, a meetup in the afternoon, part of our new lunchtime sessions, which is all about quality assurance, and we've had some really engaging stuff, talks with them recently. We may be hosting JS Monthly this month too on the 28th of July, and I do believe we'll be hosting a special event with a meetup group called Tech Heads in the upcoming future as well. I think that's on the 1st of July. So yeah, if you want to find out more about these or just stay in tune in general, you can subscribe to the channel. Obviously, don't forget to give the today's event a like if you don't mind as well, because it all helps it get out to other people. I think now we are reaching about 10,000 subscribers very soon, which is a big deal for Pusher, so we're really pleased about that. And yeah, in general, we hope you stay safe, and we wish you all the best and see you again soon. Thank you.